From VOA Learning English, this is the Economics Report. China will not ease government control over the stock market, said a new top securities official. Those controls include how stocks are offered for public sale. Government control over first-time stock offerings, known as initial public offerings or IPOs, will continue. Government-supported trading will also continue. Liu Shiyu is the new chairman of the China Securities Regulatory Commission, or CSRC. The CSRC is the government agency that supervises China's stock markets. Liu says that reforms in the IPO system will not take place anytime soon, and that supporting the reforms will require a process and time. Liu also says government-run organizations which support the market during price drops will continue to operate. China is open about its direct intervention in the market to support stock prices. The government-run China Securities Finance Corporation Limited has played a major part in supporting the stock market. This was especially true after stock prices on China's major exchanges sharply dropped in June of last year. The fund reportedly has invested in almost 600 publicly traded companies. Johnny Fang is a stock expert with Shanghai-based Ziben Advisors. He says there has been improvement in the way IPOs have been approved in recent months. But he says that Liu Shiyu still considers market stability very important. For VOA Learning English, I'm Lucia Malanig.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Economics Report. Immigration is an important issue in the American presidential race. Some candidates argue that immigrants cost U.S. taxpayers a lot of money. The Federation for American Immigration Reform says people living illegally in the U.S. cost the economy about $113 billion every year. That group, which supports stronger limits on immigration, says state and local governments pay most of the cost. But how much do undocumented immigrants pay in taxes? The Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy is a politically neutral research group. It says people living in the U.S. illegally pay more than $11.5 billion a year in state and local taxes. Matt Gardner is executive director of the Institute. He says it is difficult to know the exact costs of illegal immigration. But he says $11.5 billion a year is a lot of money for state and local governments. The Institute estimates that undocumented immigrants would pay about $2.1 billion more if they were permitted to work legally. The Pew Research Center says there are more than 11 million illegal immigrants in the United States. They make up about 3.5% of the nation's population. Most of them live in 6 states: California, Texas, Florida, New York, New Jersey, and Illinois. The Congressional Budget Office released a report on the effect of illegal immigrants on state and local budgets. It says state and local governments get more in tax money from illegal immigrants than those governments have to spend on services for them. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Presutti.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Economics Report. There are thousands of slave workers in India's western Maharashtra state. Many work over very hot stoves, making bricks from stones. Now, activists are trying to inform these workers of their basic human and economic rights. Many of the workers are landless Adivasi tribal people. They are forced into seasonal work, making bricks to pay off debt. The debts are often from borrowed money and family members who received loans and then died. Entire families may work up to 14 hours a day for low or no wages and no days off. Activists say some workers do not even know how much money they owe. Ashok Jungale is the director of a community organization near Mumbai. He says the group tells the workers they have a right to be paid and not to be abused. Jungale says the workers also have rights to take time off and to send their children to school. Most of the workers cannot read or write and keep no records. Many do not know how long they must work to repay their debt. In 2012, the Maharashtra state government appointed a committee to look for slave labor after the deaths of several workers. A spokesman for the state's labor department said it is still keeping watch for possible cases of slavery. Last month, police in Tamil Nadu rescued 564 brick workers from slavery. It was one of the largest rescue operations of workers in the country. For VOA Learning English, I'm Nikki Strong.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Economics Report. Are you a saver or a spender? A penny saved is a penny earned. This old saying calls attention to the wisdom of saving money. Putting money away for a rainy day is another way to talk about saving for the future. In the United States, people who want to start a savings account have different choices of where to put their money. These include banks and credit unions. Credit unions are cooperatives for individuals who often share a work-related connection. For example, the members might work for a university or a government agency. Most credit unions are non-profit organizations. Credit unions, banks, and other financial institutions pay interest on savings accounts, but the interest rates are generally low. Certificates of deposit pay higher returns. With a certificate of deposit, or CD, a person agrees not to withdraw the money for a period of time. This term could be anywhere from a few months to several years. Longer terms and larger amounts pay higher interest. People have to pay a small fine to withdraw their money early. Another way to save is through a money market fund. This is a kind of mutual fund. Mutual funds invest money from many people. The money is sometimes placed in short-term government securities. Money market funds, however, may not be federally guaranteed like other kinds of savings. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation guarantees savings up to $250,000. For VOA Learning English, I'm Jonathan Evans.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report. The United States has experienced a decrease in happiness during the past 10 years. Even so, it remains among the world's happiest countries. That is the finding of the United Nations World Happiness Report. It is based on information from the Gallup Research Company. The 2016 report says Americans showed big decreases in happiness from 2005 to 2007, and again from 2013 to 2015. The U.S. placed 13th of the 150 countries in the 2016 study. The report says that 45 nations showed a decrease in happiness during the past 10 years. Burundi was lowest on the happiness list. The research showed Denmark to be the happiest country. Following it is Switzerland, Iceland, Norway, and Finland. Then comes Canada, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Australia, and Sweden. Mexico is in the 21st position, and Japan is 53rd. The study found Greece had the largest decrease in happiness. Researchers blame it on the country's debt crisis and job losses. In 2014, the Pew Research Center set up a study of satisfaction in life. In it, they found that rich countries are happier than poor countries. The researchers also found that Asians and Africans are the most optimistic about their individual futures. The report says money appears to be a big part of happiness, but not the biggest. Most people reported that good health, good education, and safety from crime are more important than wealth. For VOA Learning English, I'm Nikki Strong.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report. The number of students leaving the United States for a college education is increasing. A report from the Institute of International Education, or IIE, looked at the school year from 2011 to 2012. It says there were more than 46,000 U.S. students studying at universities in 14 foreign countries. About 68% of those students were educated in English-speaking countries. The top countries were the UK and Canada. France and Germany were third and fourth. The IIE says that American students choose to study in another country for two main reasons. First, international experience is becoming more important in the modern job market. Second, the cost of a college education has continued to rise in the United States. This makes other countries with lower educational costs inviting to some Americans. From 2010 to 2012, the number of American students enrolled in German universities increased by almost 10%, says the IIE. Many American students choose Germany because classes at the public universities have no cost. And many universities in Germany offer courses in English. Sebastian Forbeck is with the German Academic Exchange Council. He says that about half of the foreign students stay in Germany after their education is complete. He also says that if just 40% of the foreign students stay in Germany for 5 years and pay taxes, the cost of their classes at public universities are recovered. For VOA Learning English, I'm Jonathan Evans.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report. Alexis Cullen works as a volunteer on the Pacific island nation of Vanuatu, one of the Peace Corps' most remote places. In the village where she works, called Naviso, some people have never heard of the internet. That is not uncommon in the South Pacific, where some people have limited learning resources. But without the internet, Cullen says, people are falling behind. To help, Dr. Laura Hausman, a professor at California Polytechnic State University, and her students developed a special type of library. It is called Solar Spell. It is an educational library that is powered by the sun. Dr. Hausman says she wanted to create a digital-based library that would not be ruined in extreme weather. Although it does not use the internet, it creates a similar experience. Hausman says the library is an offline website that behaves like the internet. It permits students to practice using the internet on a smaller scale, Hausman says. Each solar spell unit comes with a memory card or a small plug-in device that holds the educational resources. It only uses a small amount of space and does not need power cables or electricity. Hausman and her students worked hard to find resources to put in the library. They chose materials that appeal to people who live in rural areas in the South Pacific, such as Vanuatu. The Peace Corps has used about 50 solar spell units. In Naviso, about 200 students have used it. For VOA Learning English, I'm Lucia Malanig.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report. The new SAT college entrance test is in use. Last month, hundreds of thousands of high school students took the newly designed test. It is getting some positive reviews. High school students who took the test say the new SAT is more direct. The new test places less value on the command of language. More value is given to everyday learning and detailed thinking by students. On the old SAT, students lost points if they estimated or guessed the wrong answer. On the new SAT, students do not lose points for guessing the wrong answer. The College Board is the organization that produces the SAT. The new SAT continues to test reading, writing, and math, with special value given to detailed examination. Students will have to show that they have an understanding of ideas in different situations. Overall, there are fewer questions, 154 on the new test, plus 1 for writing a short story or an essay. The old test had 171 questions. Students will have a choice about whether to write an essay. A perfect score is 1,600, with a separate score for the essay. Lee Weiss is with Kaplan Test Prep. He says students should not skip the essay. Many of the top universities look at the essay. Students should write their essay in a clear, orderly style. The College Board has teamed up with online educator Khan Academy to offer SAT examples to get ready for the new test. It is free for all students online at www.khanacademy.org. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Persutti. From VOA Learning English, this is the Health Report. The United Nations says Asian children are facing health problems caused by poor nutrition. The United Nations Children's Fund, or UNICEF, and the World Health Organization produced the report. It finds some children are overweight, while others in the same country suffer from starvation. The report focuses on countries across Southeast Asia, including Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, and Thailand. The report finds that in most countries, there are equal amounts of overweight and starving children. For example, in Indonesia, 12% of children are overweight, the same number as those who are starving. In Thailand, it says 7% of children are starving and 11% are overweight. Southeast Asia is seen as a key economic driver for the world economy. But with economic growth comes an increase in foods and sugary drinks with low nutritional value. The report says this has caused an increase in obesity and heart disease in children. Starvation is still an issue in most countries in the region. The report says this is caused by poverty, poor nutrition, and a lack of clean water. Dorothy Foote is a nutrition expert at UNICEF. She says the lack of healthy food for children and the general population is causing a health crisis. The report calls on governments to invest in childhood nutrition policies. They say this will bring a better future for their citizens. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Presutti.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Health Report. Human Rights Watch has released a new report called Living in Hell. It documents the practice of pasung in Indonesia. Pasung is when a person suffering from mental problems is separated from other people. The person in pasung is forced to eat, sleep, and stay in one small place. The Human Rights Watch report says about 18,000 people currently live in pasung in Indonesia. The reports tell of one case in which a man was trapped in a room for 15 years. Another case involved a 24-year-old woman suffering from depression. Photos show her chained to a wooden platform that serves as a bed. Shanta Ru Barige is the director of Human Rights Watch's Disability Rights Division. She says the organization has documented abuse of the mentally sick in many countries. She says mental health problems are often misunderstood. People in Indonesia and other countries do not see mental disorders as medical conditions, she says. Instead, many believe evil spirits cause mental sickness. As a result, people often seek cures from spiritual healers or through prayer. Indonesia banned the practice of pasung almost 40 years ago. However, Barige says the government has not done enough to end pasung. Human Rights Watch is calling on Indonesia to enforce the ban. It also says the government should establish a community-based mental health care system. For VOA Learning English, I'm Nikki Strong.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Health Report. It is sometimes said that humans eat with all of their senses. We see food before us, then our senses of smell, touch, and taste help us enjoy it. But can our sense of hearing affect how we eat? A new report says that it can. That comes from researchers at Brigham Young and Colorado State Universities in the United States. They found that hearing is an important sense in the eating experience. Hearing is often called the forgotten food sense, says Ryan Elder. Elder is an assistant professor of marketing at Brigham Young University's Marriott School of Management. For the study, the researchers wanted to test whether the sounds of eating had any effect on how much a person ate. During the experiments, the subjects wore headphones and listened to noise at either a high or a low level. Then researchers gave them a solid snack to eat. The study found that subjects who listened to the higher noise level ate more food than those listening to the lower noise level. Elder says that when hiding the sounds of your food, like when you watch TV or listen to loud music, it takes away the sense of hearing the food in your mouth. And this may cause you to eat more than you normally would. The researchers say that hearing the noises of your food as you eat could help you to be more mindful of the eating experience. This may help you enjoy it more. The researchers reported their findings in the Food Quality and Preference Journal. For VOA Learning English, I'm Lucia Malanig.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Health Report. First responders are workers sent to fires, accidents, and other emergencies. First responders are usually firefighters and medical technicians. In Brooklyn, New York, more than 20 first responders are studying Mandarin Chinese for about 2 hours a week. The Chinese community is predicted to become New York's largest immigrant group in the next few years. The city is already home to the largest Chinese community outside of Asia. Some Chinese in New York do not speak English. This can be a problem in an emergency. Steve Lee is president of the fire department's Phoenix Society. He says that first responders must be able to communicate quickly and effectively during a response. They need to ask questions such as, "Where is the problem?" and "Is anyone hurt?" Now, they are learning to do so in Mandarin, China's most common language. Lily Chung is teaching Mandarin to the first responders. She says they have made good progress. Duran Ellis is among the students. He has been a medical technician for 14 years. Ellis says that Chung goes over each lesson with every student until the whole class understands it. The students already have used their language training. Jacob Dutton has been a firefighter for 10 years. Recently, he was called to investigate a possible gas leak. He said the people there spoke only Mandarin. Dutton says he was able to speak enough of the language to find the leak and explain to them how to fix it. For VOA Learning English, I'm Jonathan Evans.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Science Report. Colon cancer kills about 700,000 people a year worldwide. The disease can be treated successfully when found early. However, scientists have also identified genetic mutations or changes in the gene's structure connected to the disease. Researchers at Tel Aviv University are studying the history of colon cancer. Microbiologist Rena Arbesfeld is with the university. She wanted to know how genetic mutations and developing colon cancer are related. To help her research, Arbesfeld turned to a surprising source: Hungarian mummies, discovered in 1994 in a church repair project. These dead bodies rested in a cool, dry climate for more than 2.5 centuries. Their fluids and organs were found intact. This means the mummies have tissue that could be tested for evidence of disease. Arbesfeld and her team separated genetic samples from 22 mummies. Then they looked at patterns in the genetic material to search for mutations. She says that after many tries, her team found one specific mutation in a gene called APC. This gene is important. Arbesfeld explains that the APC gene is the guard for the development of cancer. This information led Arbesfeld to a theory. She says if our ancestors with this genetic mutation for colon cancer lived long enough, they would have developed the disease. Arbesfeld says her next step is to test genetic samples from other sources. She says understanding the genetic past of a disease can help handle its future. For VOA Learning English, I'm Lucia Malanig.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Science Report. Scientists are developing pilotless planes, or drones, to gather weather information from the atmosphere. The drones could help weather experts improve their predictions. They already place satellites, drones, and balloons at different levels in the atmosphere. And they use radar and gather information from devices on towers. But that information only helps experts predict weather conditions for the next few days. It does not help predict changes within hours. So scientists at Oklahoma State University are developing new drones to gather information from more parts of the Earth's atmosphere. This will help predict local weather conditions. Jamie Jacob leads Oklahoma State University's Unmanned Systems Research Institute. He and other scientists are developing small drones that do not cost a lot of money. They can fly for hours, gathering information from many atmospheric levels. The scientists have developed a round drone that can fly, roll on the ground, and then take off again. This is important in stormy weather. Philip Chilson is a professor at Oklahoma State University. He says the drone can measure atmospheric conditions, send live video to weather experts, and help search for people hurt in storms. Researchers say they still have a lot of work to do before the drones are ready. That includes making sure the drones know how to stay away from other planes. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Presutti.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Science Report. AIDS is a disease that has no cure. HIV, a virus, causes AIDS. Scientists have been working on a cure for HIV/AIDS for decades. Now, they may be close to finding one. Researchers have developed a method to cut the disease from a person's infected cells. Kamal Khalili of Temple University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, led the research team that made the discovery. The team took blood cells from people infected with HIV. Then, they removed the virus from each cell. The process is called gene editing. Kamal Khalili said, in some cases, almost 90% of the virus dropped in the patients after treatment. The team has not cured any patients yet. However, Khalili says that he believes this method could possibly work. He said the technologies, methods, and knowledge are all in place. He hopes testing on humans could begin in 2 to 3 years. Medicines do a good job of keeping the HIV/AIDS virus from growing in the body, but they do not kill the virus. If patients miss even one dose of their medicine, the HIV begins to grow again. Also, the drugs are not available to everyone with HIV, and the drugs can have side effects. Health experts identified AIDS in the early 1980s. The World Health Organization says the disease has killed about 34 million people since then. The WHO says, as of 2014, almost 37 million people were living with HIV. For VOA Learning English, I'm Jonathan Evans.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Science Report. A new group of human remains has been discovered on the plain of jars in Laos. The remains are believed to be about 2,500 years old. The plain of jars is in the central Lao province of Xian Quang. The area covers hundreds of kilometers on which there are thousands of ancient stone jars. They are grouped together at about 100 sites. The plain of jars has been a mystery to archaeologists or scientists who study prehistoric cultures. A joint research team from Australia and Laos found the remains. Dogold O'Reilly teaches archaeology at Australian National University. He led the fieldwork in Laos. He says some of the jars weigh up to 10 metric tons. Some have been moved 8 to 10 kilometers and were set in groups, he says. Little is known about the people who made the jars or their purpose. The latest field work uncovered an ancient burial ground in an area known as Site 1 in Xian Quang province. It has more than 300 jars, thin, round stones, and markers. The scientists say the ancient people had different ways of burying the dead. They include burials of whole bodies and burials of containers of bones. Scientists will test the remains. They may provide information on the culture of the people linked to the sites. O'Reilly said, it is possible that the Lao sites may be linked to similar jar sites in India. The effort may soon provide answers to one of Southeast Asia's greatest cultural mysteries. For VOA Learning English, I'm Nikki Strong.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report. The United States Federal Bureau of Investigation, or FBI, has ended its legal action against Apple. The FBI wanted Apple's help to get information from a locked iPhone. The iPhone had been used by a shooter in an attack in San Bernardino, California, last December. A husband and wife killed 14 people in the attack. Police later killed the couple during a gunfight. The FBI sought legal action to force Apple to create new software. The software would permit investigators to use a limitless number of passwords to enter the iPhone's database. The government believed the information from the phone would help in its investigation of the San Bernardino attack. In February, a judge ordered Apple to help the FBI. But the agency announced in late March that it has been able to unlock and collect information from the phone without Apple's help. It asked the judge to cancel her order, and she did. The FBI would not say how investigators succeeded in unlocking the iPhone and collecting its stored information. Lawyers for Apple say the company wants to know how the device was unlocked. But the FBI's withdrawal of the legal action could hurt Apple's ability to get answers from federal investigators. The FBI's success in unlocking the phone could hurt Apple's image. The public is now more likely to question the strength of security on Apple devices. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Prasuti.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report. One of the most important resources the United States has to offer may be its highly educated immigrants. A new study by the Information Technology and Innovation Foundation, or ITIF, finds 35% of those who invent products or discover new ideas in the U.S. were born in other countries. The group looked at inventors who have won national awards. They also looked at people who applied for international legal protection or patents for their ideas in information technology or science. And the group spoke with inventors who work for large technology companies. The ITIF study shows that most inventors have a doctorate or PhD in science, technology, engineering, or mathematics. Adams Nager is an economic expert at the foundation. He says many immigrant inventors come to the United States for research and business possibilities that might not be available in their home countries. He says the study shows the value of bringing the smartest engineers from around the world to the U.S. They bring benefits to the economy with their new ideas and new ways of thinking about things, Nager says. The other 2/3 of American innovators are mostly white men. They are not young. The study found their average age is 47. Almost all of them have at least one advanced educational degree, like a master's or a PhD. The research also finds that women make up only 12% of inventors in the United States. For VOA Learning English, I'm Lucia Malanig.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report. Santander is a port city on the northern coast of Spain on the Atlantic Ocean. It is also the home of a project started 7 years ago by the University of Cantabria. The project is to bring smart technology to Santander. A city is called smart when it uses technology to make life better for its citizens and visitors. Santander uses 20,000 sensors, or technology that measures motion and other things. The sensors are put on buildings, street posts, buses, and underground. They can point drivers to the nearest parking space. As one car drives away, a sensor says that a parking space is now free. The sensor sends a message to street signs and satellites. Using a smartphone app, drivers can find empty parking spaces more easily. Sensors also help in other ways. Trash is collected only when the containers are full. Signs at bus stops show exactly when the next bus will arrive. Public grass is watered only when soil gets dry. Luis Munoz is a researcher at the University of Cantabria. He meets with local citizens to talk about making their city even smarter. For example, the university helped a woman create an app that shows the easiest path for walking with a baby stroller. Another app shows the amount of home water usage. It is not all easy. It is difficult to let all citizens know about the technology and teach them how to use it. The Santander project is getting the attention of large cities looking for smart ways to fix city problems. For VOA Learning English, I'm Jonathan Evans.